Greetings and welcome to Tactical Inc., your portal to the captivating realm of all things Lorcana. I'm Bradley.
And I'm Alex. Today, we'll be reviewing Lorcana's second set, Rise of the Floodborn, looking at new mechanics and impactful cards of the set.
So let's get right into it, breaking down the set, starting off with the new and improved cards. Here we look at mechanics, strategies, keywords, and other things that are either new or have improved due to Rise of the Floodborn's release.
First one let's look at is Resist. Resist is the only new keyword ability introduced in Rise of the Floodborn. This ability has your character take less damage anytime they'd be hit. For example, Mouse Armor gives your character Resist +1. Resist +2 is even better in somebody like Cinderella Stouthearted. She's immune to grab your swords and fire the cannons, and she can't even be taken down by somebody like Maui Hero to All. Resist can be a real problem for steel archetypes that are looking to deal constant damage, but with only a handful of these resist cards so far, the mechanic is yet to reach its full potential.
Yeah, and cards with resist or that can give characters resist can halt many aggro 1/1 or 2/2 characters from challenging as well. Using Cogsworth Grandfather Clock to give resist with Aurora Dreaming Guardian or Sardincan to give ward is even more deadly, providing protection from damage and targeting effects of your opponents. Moving to something else newly introduced is the 7 Dwarfs cards. Dwarfs is a new classification introduced this set. Most of the dwarfs work well with each other, and Snow White Unexpected House Guest helps bring out an army of them to overwhelm your opponent by lowering dwarf characters and their cost by 1. It is a very interesting deck that doesn't seem like it would be much of a threat. However, if it goes unchecked, it takes no time for the effects to start stacking up and giving opponents a head scratcher to get rid of them. And since most of the dwarfs work together, some can only be used in a dwarf deck. However, Doc, leader of the 7 dwarfs, is a different story, being able to quest and become the effect of a lantern at the same time.
Doc has definitely been one of the 7 dwarves that's proven to be the most useful so far. I could see this deck being interesting. I haven't played against a really great one, and be interesting to see how it does moving on in the future. Okay, the third mechanic we're going to look at here. The first chapter didn't have many ways to gain lore outside questing, except a couple cards like Aladdin Heroic Outlaw. But this set introduced many cards that can do this. Shere Khan is more powerful than Aladdin, allowing you to gain lore when any of your characters make a challenge. Merlin Goat gives instant lore when he's played, and again when he leaves play. The Sorcerer's Spellbook is the only item that can give you lore all on its own. Sleepy's Flute is another item, giving you lore once per turn when you play a song, which is a huge boost for song decks. Pack Tactics is a card that gives you lore for each opposing character that's damaged. Grand Pobby gives you lore anytime one of your characters is healed. The Queen Disguised Peddler can't quest, but instead she lets you gain lore by discarding one of your character cards. All these cards are very unique, and they add a lot of new depth to the metagame.
Yeah, the Queen Disguised Peddler is one of those cards that especially excites me. I can't wait to see what shenanigans people will come up with her and possibly become a one-turn kill character in the future.
I feel kind of the same way with Shere Khan. He's got a lot of potential, like how someone's already found a small kind of niche infinite loop using him, Madame Mim, Floodborn, and LaFoe, but which this can only work against resist characters. It's little things like this that can give him a lot of potential with new cards going in the future.
Alright, our next mechanic, we see Steel get the ability to challenge ready characters. We have 2 characters in Cinderella Stouthearted and Namari Morning Mist, and we have 1 action, Pick a Fight. Challenging ready characters is a great way to get rid of things that opponents want to keep from being challenged, like Belle, Strange but Special, it's John, Greediest of All. This is something I think will be expanded on in the future sets, and could possibly have its own theme.
Cinderella Stouthearted especially already has been one that is a real threat and is something you have to worry about once she gets on the board. Not only her questing, but as soon as they play a song in something like a Steel Song deck, she's automatically going to be able to get rid of some of your stuff that you want to keep around. Going forward, we have the discard theme, which has gotten a lot better in set 2. All the key cards in this theme are Emerald, and it pairs most often with Steel for some more control through damage, or the Amber's card You Have Forgotten Me. Discard decks seek to do the exact opposite of card draw, instead taking away all of your opponent's cards to rid them of their resources. For this to be effective though, you've got to get rid of their cards fast, before they can build up many resources. That's why some things that looked like they were going to be amazing, like Bell Hidden Archer, are kind of proving to be slow at the moment. The cards that you're seeing more often are actually being the ones that are being played fast, like Sudden Chill, or Bucky comboing into Flynn Rider, his own biggest fan. These things that make discard a bit more of an aggro theme.
And while Rise of the Floodborn only added 6 cards that deal with this mechanic, it almost seems like all 6 of them are immediately pulled in a discard deck. Our next mechanic to review is Bounce. We already had a few bounce cards with Cruella de Vil, Miserable as Usual, Befuddle, and Mother Knows Best, and now they have cards that bounce your own cards to your hand for advantage. With cards like Madam Mim Snake and Madam Mim Fox, you can bounce characters you control and combo them with Enter the Battlefield effects like Merlin Goat or Maleficent Sorceress to get their effects over and over again. There's also cards like Arthur Wizard's Apprentice and Merlin Shapeshifter that give you bonuses for returning cards from your battlefield to your hand.
So next up is Healing. Healing is an interesting mechanic that's gotten better with this set. It pairs well with Self-Infliction or taking heavy damage and then healing it up. 2 cards that incentivize healing are Rapunzel, Gifted Artist, and Grandpappy. Rapunzel allows you to draw a card every time one of your characters is healed. She can arguably be as strong as any draw engine in the game. Grandpappy gives you 2 lore every time you remove damage from a character. In a deck built for healing, his ability can potentially win the game in an instant. All that being said, healing decks still lack the speed and control to be competitive. It's definitely something to keep an eye on with new set releases.
Moving on, we got some more recursion in this set. Returning cards from your discard to your hand. Snow White, Well-Wisher, and Hey Hey, Persistent Presence are few to mention. Bringing back things that you need that otherwise would remain in your discard pile. Or Fairy Godmother, Mystic Armorer could potentially be something to keep an eye out in the future for. If she can utilize this Shift 2 one day, she's going to be a very early recursion engine.
Looking at items, we got some great new ones and new characters to make them even better. So let's look at some of the items and item support that we got in Chapter 2. We got some great new items and characters to make them better. The Hiram Flavershem and Popsicle Nick Wild combo is one of the best examples. Draw a card with Popsicle, banish it with Hiram to draw 2 more cards, get it back with Nick, and repeat. Finally, there's a way to compete with Amethyst's card draw. Popsicle combo makes Fishbone Quill more viable as well because now you're never lacking for cards to ink. In turn, you can ramp into Tamatoa quickly with all your ink and items. Some other notable items in Rise of the Floodborn include Sorcerer's Spellbook and Sleepy's Flute, both giving you free lore.
And we got 18 more items in Rise of the Floodborn, and each set is almost guaranteed to keep bringing out more and more items. So cards like Hiram are just going to continue to get better and better every set. Next up, we have card draw. Card draw is probably one of the most important things to help keep decks consistent, and man did Rise of the Floodborn deliver. The first chapter only had 18 cards that drew 1 or more cards. Rise of the Floodborn introduces 27 more to that, making a total of 45 cards to draw more cards. I believe having each color have its own gimmick to draw cards is just a way to have more and more decks be consistent.
Next we come to damage and how that's improved over this set. Indirect ping damage saw a lot of buffs in this chapter. You can sing for free with cards like Teeth and Ambitions, Let the Storm Rage On, and Strength of a Raging Fire. There's some great steel character additions, like Robin Hood Capable Fighter, Beast Forbidding Recluse, and Chief Bogo. And then you have Emerald, which doesn't deal damage, but it capitalizes on it. Some amazing examples of this are Beast Relentless, Ring the Bell, Cheshire Cat from the Shadows, and Pack Tactics.
And we talked about resist and healing earlier. Those mechanics are going to continue to get better if they keep releasing damage cards like they have been. Another thing this set improved on is removal. This was with all colors as well. Ruby got Lady Tremaine, Imperious Queen. Amber has Last Stand. Amethyst has Yzma, Scary Bell and Reason. Emerald has Ring the Bell. Sapphire has Judy Hopps. And then there's Benja for steel. These removal options are impacting the game and making it easier to help control your opponent's threats.
It'll be good to see as items are getting stronger how much more item removal we get, as this is mostly just through steel right now. You also have Judy and Sapphire. It'll also be interesting in set 3 to see how much removal we get for this new mechanic that's going to be coming up, locations. Look at aggro now. Aggressive strategies to win fast have gotten some major buffs. We see some more protection for your puny characters, like Lilo making a wish or Maleficent biding her time. And that protection comes through Madame Mim Fox or Arthur Merlin's Apprentice to bounce those cards back into your hand. Arthur not only protects your characters, but he gains extra lore in the process. If that, also have new threats like Pinocchio Star Attraction, who is the cheapest 3 lore character to date. Finally, Merlin Goat provides the late game support needed to wrap up a quick victory. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, and we see more aggro challengers as well, such as Felicia, Always Hungry, and Queen of Hearts, Impulsive Ruler, to challenge quickly and get rid of early threats. Another mechanic that has improved is Evasive, introducing several more evasive characters that are annoying to remove. And we got some lower cost evasive characters like Blue Fairy, rewarding good deeds, and Jiminy Cricket, Pinocchio's conscience, to start adding lore early without you having to worry about protecting them so much. Probably the 4 most used of the new evasive cards are Minnie Mouse Surfer, Peter Pan Shadow, Cheshire Cat from the Shadows, and Ray, Easygoing Firefly.
This is something I really expected was going to be amazing, and it's proved to just hit. There hasn't been an evasive deck that has just risen to the top of the metagame so far, but I think that's coming in the future with just how much there was a lot added in this set. Looking into songs, singing is really a great mechanic, letting you play cards for free. It's just going to get better with every set. Some notable new songs are Teeth and Ambitions, Let the Storm Rage On, and Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. As we've already mentioned, Sleepy's Flute is an awesome new item to give you lore for singing.
And you know, since Still Song was so popular in the first chapter, I figured they would calm down on the song support for a set or two. However, it seems like they just kept adding things to it this set. So we shall see in the next set if they will continue to add more to this popular deck.
Also curious to see if there's going to be any singers outside of Amber. That's the only color that's getting singers so far.
Another new mechanic introduced is what we are calling self-infliction. Cards that damage themselves like Mother Gothel, Wither, and Wicked, or they want to get damaged, like Donald Duck, Not Again. Having damage on them can open up opportunities for cards like Rapunzel Gifted with Healing, and a new card in the set, Dinner Bell. With cards like Rapunzel, sometimes you may play an opponent who doesn't really challenge or play cards to damage your characters and allow you to heal them. So having self-infliction cards can help healers get going.
Let's look at the shift mechanic. If you haven't noticed yet, every character with shift is a Floodborn. And this is Rise of the Floodborn, so we got twice as many shift characters as the first chapter. Shift gets your big characters out early, and it can get you some major momentum. A great example is the Queen Commanding Presence. She can be played as early as turn 2, and then sing a 5-cost song for free, something like A Whole New World or Grab Your Swords.
And shift is one of those mechanics that is going to continue to be more and more impactful each set. If they continue to release cards that can shift on turn 2 to bring out characters 3 or 4 turns early, I can see this game's tempo continuing to get faster and faster. Another mechanic that's been enhanced is support theme, especially with cards like Alice, Growing Girl. Her ability to just give all your characters support can give your characters just enough to wipe out big threats and also gain Alice lore. You also have cards like Dragon Gem that can bring back your characters with support on them.
Looking at somebody like Pete Bad Guy, who gains more lore and gets more powerful with a higher strength, I can't wait to see how many more cards we get like this that's going to make this support theme great. Which hasn't really made enough of an impact yet, but I can see it going places going forward. Our next topic to discuss is ramp, meaning how fast you can accelerate your ink or get things out quickly. Now Sapphire is the king of ink ramp, but its cards in this set have shown to be kinda lackluster and too slow, such as James, Winnie the Pooh, and Mrs. Judson. The real award for ramping in this set goes to Amber. Doc and Zero to Hero are two great new cards to get your big guys out early.
Yeah, and with Sapphire, we saw the first chapter have Fishbone Quill, Grandma Tala, and an Amber Lantern, and some other options too, and they're just better than this set in my opinion with ramp. Well, that's it for our new and improved cards of the set. Now we get into cards that we think will have the most impact. Now we couldn't fit all the cards into this video, so we limited it to one per person for each color, so 12 cards total. So Alex, kick us off with the most impactful card for Amber this set.
The most impactful card that I see in Amber is Cinderella Ballroom Sensation. Cinderella is an Amber character that's inkable and costs 1 ink. She has 1 strength and 2 willpower with 1 lore. She's a storyborn hero and princess. The big key word here is Singer 3. This character counts as cost 3 to sing songs. We haven't had any singers at 1 ink until Cinderella. Singing 3 cost songs for free on turn 2 can be a huge advantage. There's a good example in just about every color, looking at Be Our Guest in Amber, Friends on the Other Side in Amethyst, Sudden Chill in Emerald, One Jump Ahead in Sapphire, Teeth and Ambitions in Ruby, Let the Storm Rage On in Steel, and there's even more than that. Cinderella is going to be impactful for a long time to come with all the new songs that come out.
And you may think she isn't as good late game, but she can be the stepping stone you need to shift into Cinderella Stout-Hearted as well.
That's a great point.
And I believe Steel Song players everywhere will agree that this is a nice addition to their deck. Moving on, the card I chose for Amber was the Queen, Commanding Presence. The Queen is an Amber character that is inkable and costs 5 ink with 4 strength and 3 willpower, with 2 lore. She is a Floodborn, Villain, and Queen. She has Shift 2. You may pay 2 ink to play this on top of one of your characters named the Queen. She also has the ability called Who is the Fairest? This ability says, whenever this character quests, chosen opposing character gets -4 strength this turn, and chosen character gets +4 strength this turn. So I believe the Queen Commanding Presence and the Queen Regal Monarch are impactful this set. But the Queen Regal Monarch is just a vanilla 2/2 1-drop, so nothing special. But it's because of the Queen Commanding Presence and her Shift 2 ability that makes Regal Monarch impactful. So what it means is that on turn 2, if you control Regal Monarch, you're able to shift the Queen Commanding Presence out, giving you a character that costs 5, has 4/3 stats with 2 lore, and a decent effect on turn 2. Steel Song loves this because that means they can shift her and immediately begin singing heavy-hitting songs like A Whole New World and Grab Your Swords. Alice Growing Girl decks love her because the Queen's ability can just add to Alice's power, making Alice provide a bunch of lore pretty quickly.
She can be a good removal option. That +4 -4 pretty much makes it to where one of your low-cost characters can suddenly be amazing and take out something huge. Moving on to Amethyst, my most impactful card here would be Merlin Goat. Merlin Goat is an Amethyst character that costs 4 ink. He's inkable with 4 strength and 3 willpower. He has 1 lore and is a storyborn mentor sorcerer with the effect Here I Come, which says when you play this character and when he leaves play, you gain 1 lore. Getting instant lore has made a major impact on the game, but the fact that Merlin Goat can do it multiple times makes him amazing. Combo him with Arthur for 5 lore per turn by bringing him in and out, or just as a 1 lore win condition to round out a game. That threat's always there when you're playing against Amethyst to worry about if that's going to come when you least expect it.
And it works super well with the new Madam Mim bounce combo cards, bouncing him to your hand and playing him again and again to gain so much lore. The card I chose for the most impactful Amethyst card is Yzma, Scary Beyond All Reason. Yzma is an Amethyst character that is inkable and costs 6 ink with 4 strength and 4 willpower, with 2 lore. She is a Floodborn, Villain, and Sorcerer. She has Shift 4. You may pay 4 ink to play this on top of one of your characters named Yzma. She also has the ability called Cruel Irony, which says, When you play this character, shuffle another chosen character into their deck. That player draws 2 cards. So this is a versatile card that you can use either to remove a threat on the board or use it to remove another character draw 2 cards. And if you're running the Merlin cards, removing them feels pretty good with getting the Merlin card effect and Yzma effect of drawing 2 cards at the same time.
Yeah, Amethyst is already so amazing. The fact that they now have some removal, and the removal can work for yourself as well to get you card draw and bounce. I mean, this is a really solid, versatile character, and she just makes Amethyst even more awesome. We go on to looking at Emerald. When I think about impactful cards, there's very few that can impact a game as much as Relentless Beast. He is a 6 ink character with 4 strength and 5 willpower with 2 lore. His ability, called Second Wind, says when an opposing character is damaged, you may ready this character. Unlike most abilities which ready your character, Beasts allows you to quest again and again. It's typical when I'm playing a deck with Beast for me to gain 6 to 10 lore with him per turn. When Beast is put into the right deck, he not only gets tons of lore, but your opponent's board will get wiped in the process because of all the damage that you're dealing. For obvious reasons, he pairs exceptionally well with Steel for all its ping damage. If your opponent doesn't banish the Relentless Beast before his ink dries, you're almost guaranteed to get the victory.
My Emerald card of choice was Prince John, greediest of them all. Prince John is an Emerald character that is uninkable and costs 3 ink with 1 strength and 2 willpower with 2 lore. He is a Dreamborn, Villain, and Prince. He has Ward. Opponents can't choose this character except to challenge. He also has the ability called I Sentence You that says, whenever your opponent discards 1 or more cards, you may draw a card for each card discarded. Ward is annoying, especially on a card you want to get rid of, making Prince John troublesome. We see the discard theme really grow in this set, and Prince John is a card draw engine for that theme. And the card combo everyone probably already knows with this card is a Whole New World. It can give you a huge advantage on your opponent, and not only that, but in games with 3 or more players, if you pull that combo off, the card draw can be insane. And Alex, you did that with my brother and I, and it immediately made you become target number 1 for both of us. But this card kind of has one of those effects that you have to be on your guard when it hits the battlefield, and you have to look for any way possible to remove it.
Looking into Ruby, the card that I see as most impactful would be Lady Tremaine, Imperious Queen. Lady Tremaine is a Ruby character that costs 6 ink and is uninkable. She has 3 strength, 4 willpower, and 2 lore. She's a Floodborn villain and queen. She has Shift 4 and the effect called Power to Roll at Last. It says when you play this character, each opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters. So at first glance, I shrugged off the evil stepmother, because your opponent could just choose to get rid of whatever their worst character is. But she's amazing if she's used smartly, and she's pretty much completely replaced Dragonfire as the option of choice in Ruby now. A common strategy can be to play Be Prepared, then let your opponent go ahead and retaliate with a big threat character, only to be banished on the next turn by Lady Tremaine.
Yeah, Lady Tremaine is a great control card. You give your opponent a hard choice of what to remove, and it can help get rid of evasive and ward characters because its effect isn't blocked by those abilities. The Ruby card I chose was the action Teeth and Ambitions. Teeth and Ambitions is a 2-cost inkable action song, so that means a character with a cost of 2 or more can exert to sing this song for free. Its effect says, deal 2 damage to chosen character of yours to deal 2 damage to another chosen character. This card is early control for Ruby. It really stalls these aggro lore decks that uses Maleficent, Biding Her Time, and Pinocchio Star Attraction. Or you can use it to even wipe out the Queen Regal Monarch before an opponent can shift it. Or even wipe out Cinderella Ballroom Sensation before she can sing. There's a lot of options to get rid of early threats, and it works very well with 1-ink characters with 1-3 stats like Minnie Mouse, always classy.
People were writing off those 1-3 characters for a long time, and I think I see them becoming obviously useful. So Teeth and Ambitions is just really one of those obvious reasons to use them. Moving on to Sapphire. My choice here was Hiram Flaversham, Toymaker, who is a Sapphire character with 4 ink and is inkable. He has a strength of 1, 6 willpower, and 1 lore. He's a Storyborn and inventor with the effect called Artificer. The effect says whenever you play this character and whenever he quests, you may banish one of your items to draw 2 cards. Who would have expected this random guy to become such a big deal? But combined with cards like Popsicle, he gave Sapphire what it so desperately needed: card draw and lots of it. In turn, he's also made Fishbone Quill a viable ink ramp tactic, as we've discussed already, because you'll have so many cards in hand to spare.
Yeah, card draw is key for you to have answers against your opponent. And drawing 2 cards when he is played or when he quests means you can get 2 to 6 cards off of him, sometimes more because his toughness is so high, protecting him from a lot of challenging threats like Madam M. Fox or Gaston Arrogant Hunter. So for me, I chose Popsicle. Popsicle is a Sapphire item card that is inkable. It costs 1 ink to play. It has 2 effects. The first one is called Jumbo Pop, that says when you play this item, you may draw a card. The second effect is called That's Redwood. It says banish this item, remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. So this card lets you cycle through your deck, especially if you run Nick Wild, Wily Fox to bring it back and play it again. It has a cheap cost, only costing 1, and it also is an item that can be used with Hiram to draw even more cards. Its secondary effect can also remove damage to help out healing decks as well.
Next up is Steel. My impactful card of choice was Beast Tragic Hero, who's a Steel character that costs 5 ink and is inkable. He has 3 strength and 5 willpower with 2 lore. He's a Floodborn character, hero and prince, with shift 3. His effect says at the start of your turn, if this character has no damage, draw a card. Otherwise, he gets plus 4 strength until the end of this turn. Beast Tragic Hero is a solid card draw engine that you'll find in almost any Steel deck right now. Being damaged also has a good payoff because with 7 strength, he can then take out almost any character in the game. I do wish that plus 4 strength applied also on your opponent's turn because they could use that against you, but overall he's still really solid.
Yeah, and with that 7 strength, he can challenge and kill all characters currently in the game except for 11 of them. He basically becomes a Maui hero to all that can still exert for lore if he is damaged. No, he doesn't have rush, but he still has the chance to draw cards and has a chance to be a threat to your opponent's board. So I chose Benja, Guardian of the Dragon Gem. Benja is inkable and costs 3 ink with 2 strength and 3 willpower, with 2 lore. He is a Storyborn, Mentor, and King. He has the ability called We Have a Choice. It says, when you play this character, you may banish chosen item. So Benja is a great item removal. We see Amber using Sleepy's Flute. We see Amethyst using Sorcerer's Spellbook. Sapphire is using Popsicle and Fishbone Quill. Steel has Mouse Armor. There's just a lot of items you are seeing. So Benja removes those items. And if your opponent isn't using items, Benja is still a good stat block for a 3 cost, and he has 2 lore.
In the first chapter, you really only saw Beast Hardheaded as the option, which you had to wait until turn 5 on. It's nice that Benja can come out earlier than that, or say it's later on in the game. You're only having to waste 3 of your ink on this turn to play Benja. He's a very good option. I like him a lot here.
And now we get to the next section, the best cards. We look at each card type, which are the best characters, action, and items. So Alex, what do you think the best character is and why?
One character stands tall above the rest to me, and that is Merlin Goat. He fits as a staple in all Amethyst decks right now. Goat is a game changer with his bounce effect, which is a constant threat at a pretty low cost. The fact that he's inkable makes it even better. This character is great, and I see him continuing to be relevant in future sets.
So I chose the Queen Commanding Presence, just for getting a big card out very early to apply pressure on an opponent quickly. And it's still song, it's powerful to sing songs, even before your opponent has a chance to have a board presence. Alright, so moving on, what do you think the best action is?
My pick for the best action may not be people's first choice. That is Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. We've seen so many enter the battlefield effects in this game, and it's only going to get better as time goes on. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo is awesome because you don't have to play a different card from your hand. the choice can be to simply take out a card like Merlin Goat and put him right back in for 2 lore, or something like Merlin Rabbit to take him out and put him back in to draw 2 cards. You could take out something really big like Hades or Yzma to bring them back in for free and remove another character that you need out of the way. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo is just really versatile and very useful.
I chose Let the Storm Rage On. It's damaging and drawing at the same time, and it's possible to even play it for free due to it being a song. It's just good all around. And finally, what do you think the best item is?
My choice for the best item is Popsicle. Its basic card draw is good, comboing it with Hiram makes it much better, and Nick Wild lets you bring it back. The healing effect is solid for healing decks, which are likely to get better with new sets. It is simple and cheap for only 1 ink, and it's inkable. Makes it perfect to use with item synergies like Tamatoa and Aerial Who's It Collector for an item that you just want to throw onto the board.
And I chose the Sorcerer's Spellbook. It can surprisingly gain a lot of lore, and there's only 2 colors that have item removal right now, so it can be annoying to players not in those colors. Alright, so looking at the set as a whole, and looking at a grade scale of A+ being the best and F being the worst, what is the grade that you would give this set?
So I'll give this set a B rating overall. I love the direction the game's going, all the new strategies that have come into play in Rise of the Floodborn, and the new cards that we're seeing as well. There's some really cool card designs and things that you just wouldn't have expected in cards like Dreamborn and Floodborn that bring a new light to characters that you wouldn't have looked at them in that way before. One problem I can't ignore is the power of Amethyst Ruby, which has really put it in a league of its own. In a game that's been pretty balanced, this is 1 ink combo that's on the verge of being overpowered. It's gotten more buffs than necessary in this set.
I can definitely see what you mean there, but I'd still give this set an A. There's about 8 to 12 playable cards for each color, arguably, and it doesn't completely make the last set useless either, which is great. So this set is just a great addition to what's been working in the last set, but while still adding new mechanics to enhance the fun. Well, that's all for today. What do you think about this set? What are the cards you think will be impactful from this set? Tell us in the comments below.
Be sure to follow us on social media to keep up to date on the latest Tactical Ink news.
And also be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you can tune in every Friday for a new episode of Tactical Ink. See you next week.